US is now dismayed by Israel's strike on Iranian fuel depots. This is the first major rift that is emerging between the allies amid this war. This is as per reports that the United States is dismayed by Israel's Iran fuel strikes. Remember, we just reported how Israel has struck fuel depots in Iran's capital, Tehran, and how there's plume of smoke and also acid rain is being reported because of those strikes on the fuel depots. And now what we're learning that the US is upset with these strikes. Israel struck on 30 Iranian fuel depots on Saturday. That went far beyond what the US expected when Israel had notified it in advance, sparking the first significant disagreement between the allies since the war began on February 28th. So this is as per a US official, and why this matters is that the US is concerned Israeli strikes on infrastructure that serves ordinary Iranians could backfire strategically, rallying Iranian society to support the regime and driving up the oil prices. India Today Global's Pranay Upadhyay continues to stay with us. Pranay, first disagreement being reported between the allies, United States and Israel, and this is over the strikes which were carried out by Israel on Iranian fuel depots.
Anjali, the rift is there, and in fact, there are point of differences. Though both United States and Israel agree that the target need to be, strike need to be carried out. But the larger issue is that what should be the target, and how if the larger goal for the United States is to go for the regime change, for let people come, they were calibrated in hitting out at the power structure, the IRGC command centers, the intelligence gathering apparatus, the military establishment. Once you start hitting schools, once you start hitting at the desalination plants, once you start hitting at the oil depots, which has a wider impact, and also this it's actually turns out to be a very counterproductive measure, because if you're expecting people to come out on street in support of all these airstrikes and destabilize and dethrone this Islamic regime, that won't happen. And that's why despite like 10 days of heavy bombing and military strikes, people have not come out in that number against the Islamic regime. Rather, we are witnessing large number of people coming out on streets in support of the current administration, the current government, and also in support of Mustafa Khamenei's election or selection. Large number of people have come out on Tehran streets in his support, and not only in Tehran, Tabriz, Shiraz, Mashhad, Qom, all these cities. So in fact, this clearly shows that there is a point of difference, and also the interests of United States are much wider. They have the broader engagement. In fact, the Gulf nations are also asking questions from the United States. They won't ask Israel that why did they do this thing. And also within the United States as
Absolutely.
well, questions are being asked, especially US is asked to explain that why did they strike, why did they carry out an airstrike targeting a school, to which now, US is trying to give this explanation that, they are collateral damage. They did not deliberately target the civilian infrastructure. And in fact, yesterday only, like just few hours ago, the Centrocom chief, Admiral Brad Cooper, issued a statement asking people of Tehran, people of Iran to, remain in their houses, in safe places, because
Right.
United States and Israel are carrying out these strikes, and they do not want to hit out any civilian infrastructure or target civilian establishments.
All right, Pranay, do stay with us. So there's a big rift that is emerging. This is the first rift that is emerging between the allies, United States and Israel. And this is over the strikes which were carried out by Israel on the oil depots in Tehran. Now, the US is not quite happy with these strikes, and the US is also worried that about the implications, and that the people in Iran would now rally behind the newly elected government because of such strikes. And that is why the US is upset with these moves.